Hello, this is Marilyn from Take Me Home Italy.
Good
You know me
morning.
as Good morning. I am here with Helena Kyriakides,
Yeah.
my friend Helena, but I always say her name wrong. Welcome, Helena.
Hi, Marilyn. Good morning. Buongiorno from
Buon-
Bologna.
Buongiorno da Chiavari. So we are both in Italy right now, kind of a 3-hour drive from each other, but
Yeah, a bit
very
more than that, I think.
close. Pardon?
I think a bit more than that. I think it's a bit
Even
more than
more than
three
that?
hours.
Yeah,
Mm.
probably. Well, but we can't go there anyway because we are in a position where we cannot leave our particular region. So we decided to do an interview situation here on the computer. Helena has a business called Yummy Italy. She and I met, I think, online somewhere in 2015 to 2016. And then we met in person. I went to Modena, she picked me up, and we traveled around her home area there. And she showed me some of the things that she does. Now, things are a little different today, but first I'm going to ask Helena a little bit of background. Helena, how did you actually get here? I know that's not an Italian accent.
Oh, well, I've been here for 21 years now, so I kind of feel like I'm part of the furniture.
Oh,
How
yes.
did I get here? Well, I originally I've always been really attracted to the Italian language. I had Italian neighbours as a kid when I was growing up in London, so I'm originally from London. And I could kind of always hear them. They had 4 kids, and they were all out in the garden in the summer. So I always kind of heard this Italian being spoken, next door. Um, and I don't know, I just kind of really liked the sound of, Italian. It was always a language that I wanted to learn. Um, and kind of think, obviously things happened in my life. I went to university, I studied languages, and I always kind of had this little, bug kind of going, oh, at some stage, maybe you should go to Italy and learn Italian. Anyway, I ended up working in Switzerland for a big food company, and I at a trade show I met my now ex-husband, and he kind of said, "Why don't you come and visit me in Bologna?" I was like, "Okay,
Why not?
it was a well, from it was a train ride away. It was like a sort of 3.5 hour, 3.5, 4 hour train ride from where I lived. And so it was a beautiful train ride as well, because you go past Lake Geneva, and you sort of go through the Apennines, and it's a lovely ride. And I came to Bologna, and I just fell in love with it, honestly. And yeah, so I decided, well, my job had been a little bit, how can I put it? I was starting to get bored in my job. And yeah, I'd been there for 6 years, and I just kind of needed a change. It really wasn't in line with my way of thinking, what I was doing. So I thought, well, I'm going to take a break, and I'll go learn Italian. So I was a bit torn. I was like, shall I go to Bologna where there's this guy who keeps running after me? Or should I go elsewhere where, I'm kind of suitably distanced? Anyway, he at the time then, made arrangements, let's put it this way, for me to come here. And so I came, and I did a language, I attended a language school for 4 months, because being I'm a modern languages graduate, so I'm quite obsessive about grammar and speaking a language properly. And so I wanted to do a course that was kind of in depth and allowed me to express myself coherently and correctly. And then things kind of went their way, and I ended up staying. So
And before you got into the Yummy Italy situation, you worked at some places outside of Bologna as well, didn't you?
I did, yeah. When I actually came to Bologna, I found it really difficult to find a job, strangely, because I had a really good CV, but I was very young for an Italian market to be in the position that I was. And so, I spent a year kind of consulting for the company that I'd left in Switzerland and teaching English here and doing translation work. And I just kept sending off my CVs and I had interviews, but there was nothing that I kind of really um, that really spoke to me. And then one day, within the space of 2 weeks, I got four job offers. One was from Lamborghini, one was from Ducati, one was from Ferrari, and one was from a big conference organizer.
Oh,
And I had to kind of make a decision. So the job that appealed to me most was as international event manager for Lamborghini. So off I went and I worked for nearly 10 years for Lamborghini. First as event manager, and then I went on to doing brand management. So yeah, it was fun. It was interesting. It was highly stressful. Very much a man's world.
definitely. What
Yeah.
an experience, though. It was a great, must have
Oh,
really helped to start your own business after that. Tell me a little bit about Yummy Italy and the philosophy of your business.
so I think a lot of what I do was actually born through what I did at Lamborghini. So I was organizing events. I was organizing events for the international press. I was organizing events for VIPs. But the whole philosophy there was that about craftsmanship, and it was about Emilia Romagna and how Ferruccio Lamborghini, the founder of the company, was the son of a farmer, and how he'd kind of, even when he was very very wealthy, he went off and spent his time with people who were farmers basically. And a lot of that concept had to be communicated via what we did through the events, and the way of doing that was predominantly through food. So all of the events that I organized, I was always looking for local chefs to accompany us, for products, local products to be transported to wherever we were going when that was actually possible, because in some places you had to rely on local importers. And so this whole kind of concept of feeling, touching the earth, and being close to the earth really was kind of the catalyst for what I have been doing over the last few years. So the Yummy Italy philosophy. So I organize, I organize food tours. So I don't like to really call them tours as such, because they're more experiences. They're more about coming in and seeing how the producers work and going into the producers' homes quite often, and being in touch with the people and creating a dialogue around food and where the food comes from. So I work with these artisan producers who sometimes are tiny, and you're at their mercy as well in a certain way, because while the big tour companies will work with um, producers who are reliable, if you like, because they have a setup for tourism. I am and was always looking for producers who were authentic, and not set up for tourism. So the complete opposite. That has had its challenges as well sometimes.
I'm
So
sure.
I had a group, and we were supposed to go and see this incredible prosciuttificio up in the hills, and I called him a couple of days before, as I always do, to confirm. He was like, yeah, fine, no problem, no problem. And the day, I always call them before as well, because I know what they're like. They're busy. They're very hands on. And so I called this guy and I kind of said, we're going to be there in about an hour. And he was like, what do you mean? He said, well, I'm not there right now. I said, what do you mean you're not there right now? I decided to go to the pool with my daughter. I was like, oh no, I've got 5 American tourists coming, to see you.
You know
So,
that there's so many people that don't understand. There's such value in going to those people. But if there's a funeral in the family, the business closes for a week. Or
Yeah,
if there's a
well,
wedding, or, and it might be some last minute thing. Zia Maria showed up at the house for a week and you're screwed. However, that doesn't happen that often. And
no,
they're
it
well worth
doesn't. I'm very obsessive. I'm a bit of a control freak. So,
I hadn't
I
noticed.
kind of, so, I kind of tend to always call these people and say, you promise you're going to be there, and I've got this and this people, and this is what we need to be doing. But at the same time, I like to let them take the reins, because I like them to tell what they do. If they have a um free range pigs, that they make their own food for the pigs, the organic food. So it's not even that they buy organic food, they make their own organic food, for the pigs, and then the pigs might go and forage in the forest as well. So it's very, very much about finding true artisans that work for passion rather than for commerce, for money.
That's what I love about you. And what I do at Take Me Home Italy is travel planning, basically. So
Yeah.
when most of my customers are from the US, they want to know what they can do here. And I ask them, what do they like to do? And if they like to eat, then we talk about, there's plenty of places to eat. Anywhere you go in Italy, you'll find something that's pretty good. But if you want to meet the people that create the food, if you want to sit at their table and eat their Parmigiano Reggiano or whatever, taste their balsamic vinegar, whatever it is, I got the gal for you. I know exactly.
I know you do. I know you sent me people, and
And
I think they've been happy. So
yes. And
I think it's great
those
that
are
you're
good.
concentrating on that as well. Sorry. No, I think it's great that you're kind of concentrating, that you're offering that kind of value. Because a lot of the time we talk about, and this is another thing that I learned from, working in Lamborghini, what is luxury at the end of the day. We were talking about luxury and always about, luxurious events, but these, people who have that kind of money can afford everything. And so what you have to do is give them something that they can't normally get.
Right.
So I've had kind of multi-millionaires with their own helicopter, with their own yacht, they come, you take them truffle hunting, and they're just like over the moon, because while they're buying truffles from, an importer or a restaurant in New York City, when have they ever been able to kind of get down on their knees with the truffle hunter and the dog and scrape out the truffle from the ground, right? So, it's about applying a different concept of what luxury is, right? So, I don't offer your kind of really super, five zillion star hotel. I'm going to find you a little place where you are treated like home, right?
Right. And that's really important. You find a place that, when people travel, what do they want? Quite often they
Mm,
want, sometimes it's just, they just want to do the Rome, Florence, Venice thing. They want to see the major sites and have some
yeah,
spaghetti and pizza. But if they really want to get the authentic feel of Italy, they need people like you to help them find it. And I've been blessed to have gone on some, with you on some things. And I treasure that. And what I find is, usually when I work with someone like you, especially you, when I get reviews of my work, they talk about that experience as the experience they remember, about
yeah,
the
it was
whole
great.
vacation. Quite often my clients can't do 5 days with you. They could do a
Yeah,
day or two with you, because it's not $20 to go on a trip with you on an adventure, but it's so worthwhile, and they don't forget it ever. So it's so unfortunate that you can't do that right now.
yeah,
Because of COVID, we're still in that place where we're not getting travelers, and it'll be a while yet. But the other thing that you do that's so phenomenal, what is the certificate you have as a pasta queen?
As a
Possibly.
sfoglina. It's called a sfoglina. So a sfoglina is a professional pasta maker. So I've always liked working with my hands. I did ceramics for a long time,
Mhm.
and I kind of basically I was taking I was taking my guests, my clients. I like to call them guests because I don't like the word clients really. Um, to locals for to do pasta classes, right? Only they were charging me huge amounts of money per person, and they couldn't speak English, so that meant I had to be there with them, obviously, to translate for them. And I wasn't, I was like, I'm not earning any money on this. So I was kind of on the brink of abandoning the whole thing because it was, again, not about that kind of, 60 euros 1 hour experience. It was about providing people with useful skills, sort of taking these century old traditions and giving them a hands-on insight into how those traditions have been, well, first of all, were conceived, how they've been handed down. And so I was kind of on the brink of abandoning the whole thing. And then one of my friends said, "Why don't you teach?" And so I go, "I can't teach. I
Oh,
can't teach.
yes, you can.
I know how to do it vaguely because I've watched, the Sfolina, I've watched my mother-in-law, I've watched my, my husband's aunts or, whatever. And I can get out a sfoglia, but I couldn't teach it. So I found this amazing woman called Rina Poletti, who's kind of considered the queen of tagliatelle in Italy. And off I went. I just excuse me, she had quite severe criteria for me going to do one-on-one tuition with her. And I said, I'm willing to do anything it takes. And she said, yeah, but you have to come here and you've got to do, however many eggs worth of dough and come again and again until such time as I say you're ready. So I did. And so now I'm very happily gonna, I love making pasta. I just love it. I love eating it too, which is another,
Yeah,
too
me
much.
too.
Yeah. We let's not talk about that. Let's not go there. But yeah, I just love the whole the concept of doing something, with your hands and nurturing people with something that you've made and that you've taken the time and energy to create. And I think that kind of goes for cooking in general, not just pasta making. But I don't know, I just find there's something very, very therapeutic about making pasta. And so while we were kind of in this limbo last year, I wasn't really kind of sure whether to kind of concentrate on focusing on organizing tours this year, but as we've seen, that's not happened. And so, yeah, I launched these online pasta classes now, learning pasta from scratch, and it's going great. I mean, it's going really, really well, and people are happy and they can do it, and they post on Instagram and Facebook of everything they've done. And, you're basically teaching people life skills. You can feed your family without having to go to the shop. You've got to find flour, which is another challenge.
Well, when I was in your class, I loved watching you and how you worked with each person. Even though you're not in the same room with them, they're all on the computer.
Yeah, it's
You made it very simple on how to do this or that, or how to roll things out, or the texture and how okay, I never really thought about the fact that when you're using wheat flour, it can be different if it's coming from here or coming from the US or South America or wherever. And so you have to work with the dough in a different way. So
yeah.
I thought you were a great teacher.
Oh, thanks.
I really did. And I would highly recommend you as a teacher for pasta making. And hopefully some of my clients will do that.
Oh,
So
that
are
would
some of
be
my people.
that would be great. I mean, I'm kind of happy to send people your way to travel plan as well, because sometimes people kind of say to me, I'd really like to do this or I'd like to do that, and I'm not a travel planner. I concentrate on, what I do here, but I'm kind of, sometimes situations take us um, into zones that are a little bit out of our comfort zones. And I think teaching online for me was really out of my comfort zone, because I only ever teach in person, and you need to be able to kind of touch and feel and see. And so I was really concerned because I have this obsession with doing things well. And so I didn't want to go away from that and, and not be able to transmit, um, techniques or ideas or concepts or shapes or whatever they are. And so, that terrified me, honestly. It was kind of like, oh my God, I don't know, am I going to, is it actually going to work? But, it has, and I'm really happy that it has. And I'm starting with a brand new schedule now of courses over the next couple of months.
Well, that's
So,
exciting.
yeah, I'm taking a break now to catch up, with the paperwork and the loading up the videos of the classes, because that all takes time.
That's one of
So,
the things we don't think about when we think, oh, let's go take a class online. We don't realize how much work to prepare. And then
mm,
afterwards, what you need to do and follow through and follow up. And then there's taxes. And so there's always paperwork. But it is true that, as much as it's been kind of a horror for the last year for many reasons, it's pushing us to figure out what we're going to do with ourselves. And you found the pasta making classes and were able to support yourself and your son and enjoy what you're doing.
trying.
Trying, well, we're all trying, and enjoy what you're doing. And the people are responding so well to you that I
Yeah,
just saw singing in the kitchen on Twitter, no,
Instagram.
not Twitter, on Instagram,
Instagram.
reached 600 followers. I don't have 600 followers yet on Instagram. And she's just one of the people that takes classes from you.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
No, I mean it's great. I mean, I'm really looking. I was actually looking not just on focusing on pasta because I have a lot of I have a lot of other qualifications. So, um, I was thinking also about offering kind of little workshops around how, what real balsamic vinegar is, how to taste olive oil, that kind of thing. Because if,
yes,
if you can't come to Italy, then, I can bring Italy to you.
how would they get the good balsamic though? I mean, it's hard to find in the US or other countries.
Well, I have a supplier here who I work with, who I'm sure would be able to ship. I mean, it's, I'm going to be honest, it wouldn't be cheap.
No.
Um, but if somebody is kind of passionate and really wants to learn about it, then it's something that could certainly be looked into.
And you're
Uh,
certified as a balsamic. I don't remember the term for that again.
yeah, I'm certified in quite a lot of things.
I know you are, and so what people don't realize is there is a way to taste olive oil. There is a way to taste balsamic. You don't just stick a spoon in your mouth and swallow it. And
Yeah,
that's why they need to go with you to, when they can travel here again, go with someone like you or one of your team members that's experienced so that they understand what it's really like to taste those
yeah.
things.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I have a diploma as a traditional balsamic vinegar taster. Um, and so, yeah, when I take people on these tours or experiences, whatever you want to call them, a big part of that is actually learning how to taste the product,
Yeah.
right? And also then supporting these tiny artisan producers.
Yes.
Yeah, because I think a big part of the problem, and and I think this is fundamentally wrong, is that you have these big tour companies that that bring, I don't know, busloads of 35, 40 people. When there are that many people, the producers actually don't charge, for visiting. It's only when you've got small amounts of people that they charge, because they're like, well, you're taking out, the time and this and that, and you need space to do the tasting, so we're going to charge you. But the big producers, they don't charge in the hope that people are going to buy something. And then often what happens, and this is, fundamentally wrong, is that the tour companies will have their own suppliers and will sell them products via
Oh,
their own suppliers while having gone to somebody else to visit. And this just like It makes me crazy. Or else, they'll kind of bring these people in, quick half hour round, and they'll walk out and have only, bought something for 10 euros. And these people are, these are kind of small producers that survive off creating a product, that takes years. If you think about a proper, a DOP, a protected denomination of origin, balsamic vinegar takes a minimum of 12 years to produce.
Yes.
Okay. 12 years, right? And we're not talking about wine, we're talking about a balsamic vinegar that has taken that long, and needs to be intervened in every year. You have to carry out certain procedures every single year. And when you're kind of coming in and you're tasting that, and then you're going off and you're buying a 10 euro bottle, of balsamic jam, then I don't think, I mean, no, I'm not saying you have to, I'm not saying it's obligatory to buy, but I think, a lot of the time there's also that kind of concept of respect for the producer. So if you're not buying, then just leave something, for them that respects the work that they do.
But if they are on a tour of 35 people, they may never understand what they do. And
Well, yeah, that depends on how this is where I differ, because I have, I've had tours of 35 people, but I will sit them down and for half an hour we will do like a tasting class,
yes,
and then they'll go and they will all buy, a good balsamic, or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 balsamic vinegars. And I'm not
because
interested in,
they
and I'm not
understand.
interested in, in taking commission either.
Yeah,
Because I
yeah.
do my job, I earn what I do, but I also, it's thanks to those producers that I can do what I do.
Well, and what I do and what I want my people to experience is the authenticity and of meeting artisanal producers, small farmers, and seeing how much how much love goes into their work, and
Yeah.
understanding these are the real Italian people that from this Emilia Romagna area, Emilia Romagna.
Romagna.
Oh, my tongue. Anyway, but that's the essence of what I want them to experience. Is what you're talking about, that they understand what it is to taste balsamic, and that it's not for salads. I mean, it is for salads, but it's for everything.
Some types are for salads, other types aren't.
Right, and
Yeah.
some are for cooking and some aren't. I mean, you don't want to pour.
So you
And
need to,
so,
yeah.
but I think that with you, they will always understand the wine they're tasting, the olive oil and balsamic, or if they're going out. And I remember you were planning a trip for one of my people, and they were going to go have lunch at a place that had Parmigiano Reggiano, and they would get some prosciutto crudo from their next door neighbor who would have been part of the lunch. And it was a fabulous idea, because then my people can meet like real people and experience real food that they eat and that they sell. So I love referring people to you and your team, and I'm looking forward to doing that, hopefully maybe by the end of this year. And in the meantime, I think that people taking your class, I want to tell a couple of my friends that love to cook and make sure they find out about what you're doing with cooking, with tasting, with teaching, because these are all things that people can do while they're yearning to return. And
exactly, yearning to return, yeah.
And that's exactly what they're doing. And what I've been doing in my blogs and writing and so on, I've been putting in more photos so that they feel like they're walking with me as I travel. And now one of the things I did during this time was I'm on my Patreon page, I'm publishing chapters of my book.
Yeah, which is a great idea. Yeah.
It's fun. And it also keeps me most of the time responsible to produce one every week that they can read. It's a first draft or a second maybe, but it's involving more people. And also I'm doing a newsletter, which also can tell them more about what's really happening in Italy. And some of the funny things that happen that I haven't really talked about too much yet, but so they get more of a feel of what it's like to live here as well,
Yeah.
which is, they'd have no idea. It's a
Yeah.
totally different experience.
Totally different experience. I mean, I think we'll both agree that it's not all roses. A lot of people kind of come and think that living in Italy is, this kind of the dream. You've got your Tuscan hillside, your beautiful cottage, or stone farmhouse, and the reality is very, very different. Unless, of course, you're a kind of millionaire and you can you can afford that. But for those people, those of us who have to work here, it's the reality is very, very different. I mean, we're very lucky because there are some. I mean, it's probably one of the most diverse countries in the world in terms of cuisine. The culture and the history are phenomenal. I mean, I don't think there's anywhere else, well, very few other places where you can find that mix. And it's romantic, and the summers are beautiful, and the views are amazing, and the wines are intoxicating, and I mean, it has a lot going for it. But real life is different. Real
Yeah,
life is, especially when you're dealing with bureaucracy and the tax office, and um,
anything.
anything. Yeah, the post office.
Is the
Yeah.
post office. I'm dreading I have to go to the post office. I'm kind of dreading.
Oh no.
I plan on a couple hours just to make sure I have enough
Yeah,
time.
take a book.
And I'm in a smaller town, so yeah, I've had some strange experiences, but it's always those little things that you think, well, that shouldn't be a big deal. I'm going to the post office to get some stamps. It's a big deal. Get in the right line, take the number, and if you have two things to do, go in this line first, then you go in that line second. And these are things that we don't experience in the United States. Not like, it's just not the same, or it is just the way they do things, and there's nothing we can do about it. We just have
Well,
to.
also, I mean, also when people come here for the first time, there are things that kind of seem obvious, but they're not. Like for example, when you go to a coffee bar, first you have to take the queue to pay for the coffee,
Right.
and then you go and do another queue to actually go and get your coffee.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or if you're at an event, first of all, you go and stand in line to go and pay, and then you stand in another line. And, it's a concept that I've never been able to understand.
One of the
And they
first
say it's
things
for
that,
hygiene reasons, but
I don't know why they do it, but they do it on everything. So I have booked directly with the Uffizi for some of
yeah,
the people I worked with. And so I get their tickets ahead of time. So they get in line to go into the Uffizi. Then they tell them, you have to go to this place to pick up your tickets. Well, we already paid for them. Yeah, that's okay. You already paid for them. You have to go across the street and down this one, and then you go get your tickets. And then you can come back
and stand in line again.
and you're in line, but you're in a priority line. So it's, it's things that usually in the United States, if we buy tickets ahead of time, they're right there. You don't think about, oh, we have to go here, tell them, they tell you where to go. And so my clients were kind of surprised, or the fact that some of the places had no air conditioning. Okay, welcome to Italy. I have no air conditioning in my house, in my
neither do
apartment.
I.
Oh
It's
my
hell in
gosh.
the summer.
It can be, yes, you have to be outside in the summer and hold yourself down. And I'm lucky enough to be by the Mediterranean Sea.
Yeah.
So if I can drag myself out of my sweat drenched house and get down to the water, I just kind of fall in there and stand there for an hour just to cool off. But those are the things that it's worth it to be here.
Yeah.
It's worth it. And so anyway, let's kind of tie this up a little bit with one of the things that, is there anything else you'd want to share with us about, well, first of all, I want to know share your information so everyone watching can get your pages and your Patreon page and so on.
Yeah, so my website is www.yummy-italy.com. It's on a landing page right now because I was in the process of redoing it. Honestly, I was planning on updating it with all the tours, but that's not happening now. So
No.
I've had to kind of change direction a bit, and I'm working on offering all the classes I'm doing online now. And yeah, my Patreon is www.patreon.com/yummyitaly. And then I obviously have my various, I've got a YouTube channel for, beginner pasta makers,
Is
Yummy
it,
Italy.
it's Yummy Italy too? Okay. Oh,
Yeah,
Yummy
that's
Italy
Yummy.
also? Okay.
Yeah, so Yummy Italy on YouTube. And then I have my Yummy Italy Facebook page. And I
And
have
Instagram.
I have two Instagrams actually. I have one which is Yummy Italy, because Yummy Italy at the time was taken. And then I have Italian Pasta Academy, which is just dedicated to pasta.
I've checked them all, except the YouTube one. I have to go check that out.
Yeah,
So
check out YouTube. There's not a zillion videos, because I'm not that technologically advanced, and it's taken me quite a long time to work out how to do all the video editing and and filming, and sometimes my son helps me out, but doesn't help.
yes, I know how that is. You know that. She has actually helped me with some of my setting up, and we set up my business in 2015. We began my business, and the people who did my website set up a YouTube account for me. And then they used to film me once a month, and we'd talk about being Italian and dual citizens and family history and 4 generations in the US and blah, blah, blah. And then we stopped doing that. And that's just been laying fallow. So I'm resurrecting it now, and we'll be adding to that, but it's really not in use at this time.
Well, I think a lot, so many of these things that you want to do, they take so much time.
They do.
It takes so much time, and you load, so if I do a video for YouTube, what will start off as 2 hours or 2.5 hours of filming, getting it down to 20 minutes, it takes me 3 days. It takes me 3 days to edit it, and and then my bad Wi-Fi and loading up and loading back onto YouTube. I mean, it took me all night to load a lesson now onto YouTube. So
those are long
yeah.
lessons, 2.5 hours. It is worth every penny to go to a class for 2.5 hours. I mean, when you think about it, that's 3 credits at the university. So it's worth whatever you charge.
Actually, they don't cost much. The pasta classes don't cost much.
No, they really don't. But they're worth every penny, or every centesimi, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people have said to me, you should charge more. And I'm like, well, no, I don't want to charge more, because I want to make them accessible.
I appreciate that.
To everybody, not, there's no reason why you can't make pasta. So I'm happy to make that accessible to you. And I'm happy to have more people for a lower price than 2 people for a much higher price, so.
Well, that makes sense. Well, and that,
get it out there.
Yes, get it out there and get people interested, and let them find their inner Italian soul. That's what I always say is, discover your Italian soul. And what you do, I don't care what country they're originated from, they find a piece of Italian soul when they're making gnocchi, or they're making tagliatelle, or they're making tortellini. It's what our people like me, what our grandmothers did and our great grandmothers did. It's part of who we are, but doesn't mean I know how to do it.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I like that concept of find your Italian soul. I'm not Italian. I'm half Greek and half German. I was born and brought up in London. But I do feel like my soul is Italian. And I also discovered that my great whatever grandfather on my grandmother's side was a Venetian spice merchant. Isn't that amazing? That's really exciting.
Yes, I won't tell you about some of my history. Some of it's not for publication.
Okay, I won't ask.
But I have one relative, I think a great uncle, that had 3 wives and like 12 kids or something. And
so, not at the same time though.
Yeah, and they're all, that was vanilla compared to some of the other things that have been in my family. So that's enough of that for now. But for your people, if they're interested in any travel planning, please, the one thing that I believe in, and I know you do too, is that we can help each other in the travel industry. We can collaborate, we can share information, we can share people that we're working with. I always try to build experiences, adventures for my people, depending on what they like to do. And so I would be more than happy to send them your way. Obviously, your clientele, the people you work with every day or with your pasta classes are yours, but I have people that probably would like to see you as soon as they can get back here. So if you have people looking for help in planning their entire trip or even part of
I
their
know you
trip.
have some great contacts around. So, I always think that, my philosophy is do what you're good at. Rather than have your finger in a zillion pies, concentrate on what you're good at and then outsource what you're less good at. And that way everybody gets to work.
Makes sense. And that is what I feel too. And my other philosophy, I sold real estate for builders for 26 years. And what I always felt was the more money I made, the more money they can make.
Yeah.
Because I can share with them my techniques. We work in the same office. We can share with each other instead of being competitive, and it will actually benefit the business. And I think the same way now with this business, because I believe what I can offer is unusual. And that I live here now. I go to places generally before I recommend a place, I experience it myself, like I did.
Well, that's the right way.
So I'm not just, a travel agent looking in their book for, what to do for cruise extra things, or they've never been to Italy or they've been once and they have no idea. I've been coming to Italy since 1971. I'm technically 100% Italian American and a dual citizen. And so I have the Italian American culture, but I'm trying to be more like the Italian culture where I live in Liguria, even though I'm not even from this part of Italy. I just like it. So
it's a beautiful part of Italy.
Oh, it really is. And what I hope to bring to them is to help them discover what they want to learn about what kind of experience they want in Italy, what their budget, what can fit in their budget. And it might be a couple of day trips with you or someone else like you in another city. And then more normal walking around, doing a headset tour in the Uffizi or someplace. So
I think that we kind of tend to, I think there is this tendency to want to kind of do as much as possible. But I think the key to really having a great trip is less is more.
Especially in Italy.
Less. Yeah, do less, even if you're sacrificing a ton of other stuff, but really enjoy it and really kind of get into the nitty gritty, of what you're doing. And I know that you kind of offer those sorts of experiences in other part of Italy. It's kind of like take it slow down, enjoy it, rather than just kind of ticking a box. Okay, done that.
I really find it bizarre when people say, well, I did Italy. I did Florence. I did Rome. How long were you in Rome? I was there for 2 nights. You did Rome? I can't even walk around Rome in 2 nights. But they don't understand. And that's why I'm not making fun of them. It's like, and it's for many people, it's a one-shot deal. They can only fly from wherever they're coming from once in their life.
And maybe it's a once in a lifetime trip as well.
And so they want to cram things in. Even in that case, I try to slow them down for 1 day and I go see you or go see someone like you and spend a day with you where they can meet locals. On my checklist on my website, a lot of people want to meet locals. They want to meet locals. So they have no idea how to do that. Well, they can do it with you as you take them around. And so I hope in the future we do a lot of work together. And
so do I. I can't wait to get back to my, to my market, actually.
They can't wait either.
It's the place that I actually miss the most because everybody knows me. I know everybody. you go into this kind of big market, everybody's, hi, Helena, how are you? And I'm like, hi, whatever, Vincenzo, Paul or whoever, and we have a little chat. And, there's this kind of whole interaction that goes on, then when I have the guests with us,
Yes.
when I have the guests with me. And so, it's almost like, they're coming to meet family.
Yes, it is. And that's an experience that I was lucky enough to have by meeting my family here. But what I
Yeah.
realized when I started doing this business is that's not normal. There are not, most people that come to Italy never meet and sit down and have a meal with an Italian family of some anywhere. And so when you can combine their adventure with actually sharing a drink or having a meal with the locals who produce the food you're eating and love what and are so proud of what they've done,
Yeah.
that's finding your Italian soul. That's
Yeah.
part of it.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right, so if your people want to contact me, my website is takemehomeitaly.com. There it is, Take Me
Okay.
Home Italy. And my Patreon page is www.patreon.com, Take Me Home Italy 1.
Okay.
And then I'm on Twitter. I'm fairly new to Instagram, and I've got to put dots, periods between. So it's take period me period home period Italy.
Okay.
And I think you can find me all over the place. I will be up on YouTube. Actually, this will be my first upload of something to YouTube. And this will be on my Patreon page first before it's shown to the public. Thank you so much for your time. This has been
Well, thank
great.
you. It's been nice having a chat. I mean, I know when we do chat, we always end up chatting for hours and hours and hours.
I know. That's why we only do it once a month or whatever.
So no, it's been great. I always kind of love reading up on what you're doing and where you're going, obviously now virtually.
I went to Rapallo yesterday because
Oh,
we are
wonderful.
yellow. We're yellow.
Oh, you're yellow. We're red now.
For another 2 weeks, who knows, after that.
We're red. We're red.
That's awful. That's awful. I'm
Yeah,
so
yeah.
sorry.
Yawn, eye
Let's
roll.
just all hope for, pray to whatever person or creature, whatever we pray to, that this gets over with pretty soon. I'm starting to get a little stir crazy myself.
Yeah, I think everybody is.
Yeah, so it's
Yeah.
going to be, let me out, or I might have to swing at somebody. So anyway, let's talk again soon. And
Okay.
I really appreciate you being my first interview for Patreon.
Yeah, well, thank you, for letting me be your first interview for Patreon. It's been fun.
See you soon. Ci vediamo.
Ciao.
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 Ciao, ciao.